We're back on the Ringer NFL show. I don't know. Unless I'm forgetting one, this felt like the game of the year. Ravens and Bengals exchanged haymakers. Both quarterbacks were fantastic. Ravens get a 56-yard field goal at the end of regulation to force overtime, and then a 51-yard Derrick Henry run in overtime to set up the game winner. Ravens go home a winner, 41-38. The Bengals fall to 1-4. Ruiz, you could go in 400 different directions with your biggest takeaway from this game, but what stood out to you?
I want to start with the Lamar Jackson and Joe Burrow duel. Like, this felt like the proper quarterback duel that we've been waiting out of this rivalry. We've only seen 5 games, them head to head before, and they've either been lopsided or they've just been low scoring affairs that weren't very exciting to watch. In this game, we saw the best of both quarterbacks, and we saw the best of both offenses, quite frankly. Let's start with the Ravens offense. We talked about this on the Friday show. This Bengals defense has given Baltimore problems by selling out to stop the run. And that's what it looked like on the live viewing here. They obviously hold Derrick Henry to, I think it was like 30 rushing yards in regulation before he kind of broke out in overtime. And in the past, that would be, the end of things for Baltimore's offense if they couldn't run the football. But it wasn't, because we saw a new Lamar Jackson. And we've seen this Lamar Jackson for the past year plus. But I think this was the game that really punctuated. This was him going head-to-head with a supposedly prototypical quarterback, the type of quarterback that Lamar Jackson wasn't and couldn't ever be. And he outplayed him. He outthrew him. He made some of the most amazing plays we've ever seen outside of the pocket, but the work he did inside the pocket was just as impressive to me. His ability to avoid negative plays and turn them into positive plays. I mean, the touchdown to the in the back of the end zone after he fumbled the snap is one of the most impressive football plays I've ever seen. I mean, I still don't understand, like, the throw itself, which kind of gets lost in the shuffle, how difficult that throw was because of the absurdity of the first 10 seconds of that play. But his body, his chest is facing the sideline, and he kind of has to torque his body while taking a hit and kind of in midair, and he throws a dart to the back of the end zone where only his receiver can catch it. It was one of the greatest throws I've ever seen, and that was like only part of the play. He stiff-armed Sam Hubbard, who's a good defensive end, who makes $10 million a year, to the ground like it was nothing. And that was the third most impressive thing he did on the play. I'm at a loss of words for what Lamar Jackson can do. But, like, on the other end, if I'm a Bengals fan, I know it's 1-4, but with the way that offense played, I would be a little more encouraged than I would have been if this loss happened in any other circumstances.
Now you sound like me a little bit there with the Bengals. Diante, I thought, I don't know that it's possible to play better than Lamar Jackson played today. I mean, 348 yards, 4 touchdowns, no interceptions, 1 sack, ran for 55 yards. This was the complete package. Like Ruiz was saying, this was pinpoint accuracy. I mean, some of those intermediate throws that kind of get lost in the course of a game when you're looking at the exciting ones, you're just like, man, how did he squeeze that in there? Are we sure that was a completion? There were so many of those. That signature play, just that Ruiz just described, stiff-arming Sam Hubbard, jumping out of bounds, taking a hit, and throwing a touchdown, by the way, in a high leverage spot in the football game. I mean, really the only error it felt like he made all day was just a physical fumbling the snap in overtime, which ironically could have cost them the game, didn't end up costing them the game. But after halftime, they had 3 touchdowns, 2 field goals, and that 1 fumble. Those were their 6 possessions. They had 520 yards of offense. That version of Lamar Jackson is, the most fun player in the league and the most the hardest player to defend in the league.
It might be the best player in the league.
Might be, yeah.
I was gonna say, what Steven's saying is almost an understatement, because Lou Anarumo threw the Patrick Mahomes game plan at Lamar Jackson. He tried everything in the playbook. You saw 7-8 guys at the line of scrimmage, those old blitzes that used to give Lamar trouble when Brian Flores was in Miami, and he handled it just fine, getting away from pressure, getting the ball out quickly, trying to set up the protection to keep him clean. When they were playing more with depth and trying to take away throws in the middle of the field, you saw him be very accurate outside the numbers in a way that, his game kind of waxes and wanes with that at times. You usually can kind of tell a good Lamar Jackson day from a bad one on whether or not he's able to connect outside the numbers. And then once he had the respect of the defense and made them start defending the sideline, you got to see great seam throws to Zay Flowers. You saw good seam throws to Nelson Aguilar when he was in the game. You saw good seam throws to Rashad Bateman and Isaiah Likely. And that, to me, what really underscores it is the fact that Cincinnati so clearly came in committed to taking away Derrick Henry. And the game was going to be won with Lamar Jackson from the pocket. And you see what he does to manage a pocket. And there's really only like two other guys that can even have that. You can even have that conversation with being better or as good as he is. And when he's at his peak of his powers like he is today, like Steven said, that's the best player in the NFL, the most dynamic player in the NFL, and maybe the hardest one to stop.
He had the one play where he was scrambling to his left and the two defenders were on his right, like chasing him, and he gave him a little fake, like, I'm coming back towards you. And
they were terrified.
It's incredible.
It looked like a bad Madden glitch, like a bad animation in a video game. But no, he just juked the hell out of those guys that badly. And I know he ended up throwing away the ball, but that was one of the greatest and most exhilarating throwaways of all time.
I had that in my notes. I go, this is the best incompletion. That's one of the best incompletions I've ever seen. That was incredible how he created that space. So, and
he did avoid a negative play on it. So it wasn't like there was no function to the play. Yeah,
one sack all game. So I think this is a pretty easy one. Are the Ravens contenders? I mean, they look like one of the best teams in the NFL. As back-to-back wins over the Bills and the Bengals. Not saying it's perfect. They got some stuff to figure out defensively, obviously, but I don't even know how much more we need to say. I think we all probably agree that the Ravens are contenders, correct?
Yeah, as long as they have number 8. I mean, I think it's time to start worrying about this defense. I think this was the game where it's like, okay, they miss Mike McDonald, because Mike McDonald used to have this offense in hell. He used to have Joe Burrow in hell, and Joe Burrow had no issue diagnosing what he was seeing when the Ravens got creative on third down. I think at one point in the second half, they were 6 for 6 on third down. Burrow had no problems dissecting what they did. I thought Burrow had a couple shaky moments in the first half, but in the second half, he was just lights out.
Yeah, I mean, they were going up and down the field on this Ravens defense. And if you're a Bengals fan, this season stinks. Or if you're someone who said the Bengals are going to the Super Bowl, this guy right here, this season stings. Because if you would have told me after 5 weeks, they're second in EPA per drive, they're second in offensive success rate, they just put up 38 points against the Baltimore Ravens, I would go, oh yeah, Sheil, you nailed that prediction. Let's go, man. Bengals are going to the Super Bowl. Instead, they're 1-4. All 4 losses have been by a combined 15 points. They've all been one possession games, and now 1-4 is just a hard hole to dig out of. And by the way, I need to rip Zach Taylor here real quick for that overtime approach. You don't play for a 53-yard field goal. I know that teams are better at making 53-yard field goals, but Lamar Jackson fumbles the snap there. You take over on the Baltimore 38, run for no gain, run for 3, run for no gain. You park the bus. Don't park the bus. Go. You know how much money you're paying Joe Burrow. Ruiz just mentioned it. You know how he was playing. I know there's always a risk of a negative play, but you can call a high percentage play. If you can't trust your quarterback there, make it a little bit easier for the field goal kicker. And I know they botched the snap, but that really could have cost you the game. So yeah, I did not like how he parked the bus right there. That might be a me thing though.
And he also iced his own kicker. He called the timeout right before the kick. I know it was the bad hold, but I don't know. Maybe he iced his holder.
Maybe he did. Yeah. But there's I think we're all probably on the same side of the Bengals. I mean, 1-4.
I'm not. Don't speak for me.
Yeah.
The Bengals
okay.
are absolutely coming back, and they're going to make the playoffs. Do you?
All right. Well, playoffs, but can they get to the Super Bowl?
Absolutely, with them playing
from 1-4. Okay.
Look at their schedule upcoming. They're playing the Giants. They're playing the Browns. They're playing the Eagles. They're playing the Raiders. They have a rematch with the Ravens in 5 weeks. That will be a fascinating game to watch. But then after that, the Chargers, the Steelers, the Cowboys, the Titans, the Browns, the Broncos, the Steelers, they can run the table in theory. And they're playing good football. You talked about the numbers on offense. They can just figure something out on defense.
That's the problem.
Something. Then I think they could definitely make the playoffs. And if the offense is playing like this, you can go on a run. You can win 3 games in January with an offense that's playing at a level like this.
What a role reversal. Diante, where are you at on the Bengals?
Joe Burrow is playing the best quarterback of his life. Jamar Chase is more efficient than he was in 2021, and this team is 1-4. It's over. Can they? Sure, but it's over. Just how Steven took his role with the Cowboys of saying, have you or have you not been watching that football team? Yeah. I've been watching Cincinnati's defense. This is not a Super Bowl contending defense. It's not even close to a Super Bowl contending defense. And they sold out as many resources as possible to stop this run game. And this was probably their best showing against the run this season, or if not like in the top one or two, and still they can't keep teams from finding explosive plays. It doesn't matter who's in or out of the lineup. They're not able to get enough pressure. They had 7-8 guys at the line of scrimmage. Like I said, they could not make Lamar Jackson uncomfortable in the pocket. And with that being a unique challenge for them, you can look at any game that they've played this year outside of the Patriots, who's probably like the most inept passing offense in the league right now. They can't do anything to affect teams or keep teams from finding what they want in the passing game. And that's a disqualifying factor for me. So no, they're not a contender.
I'm playing the long game here. If they don't make the Super Bowl, I could laugh at Sheil for predicting this team was going to make the Super Bowl in the first place. And if they do, I could steal all his spotlight and be like, actually, I was the Bengals guy who never gave up on them.
It's a bad job by me.
Team content angle.
Yeah, why am I backing down? Don't worry, I'll just lie and said I said one thing. No one's gonna remember. It's October. You think they're gonna remember this in January? The run, I could buy the run the table thing on offense, but defensively, like you're gonna have a weird offensive game where you turn it over. Where I just feel like the way their defense is playing right now. I mean, these are 2 losses they've had to the Ravens and the Commanders, where if they have like a C- defensive game league wide, they're winning both those games. They couldn't get there. I mean, the Ravens offense today, that was the 10th best game by any offense in the NFL this season based on success rate. It's like, I just don't buy this defense, but we'll see. Their offense is good. And if you're a Bengals fan or your Bengals ownership, how do you not say, look at what we're doing with Jamar Chase and T. Higgins and what a difference that makes. And you can just grow with these two for the next, 3, 5, 7 years and keep that window open for this offense to execute the way it executed today. And don't tell me they don't have the money, because you can fit 2 wide receivers under their salary cap. So that is a flat out lie.
And what are they going to spend that $25 million on anyway?
Yeah.
What are they going to sign? You're going to sign Bryce Huff or something? Like, no, right. Pay T. Higgins. Keep this trio together. It's the only shot at winning games right now. And it's been a trio that's carried you to a Super Bowl in the past.
Yeah, I agree. All right.